Right, so welcome to Empower Your Career. Today we have Jeeva, who's going to talk to us about Customer Insights, which is an incredible tool from Microsoft, which brings together all your data and creates insights, the clues in the name. So Jeeva is also known as a CRM Indian, and you'll see now on his page some links to how to get in contact with him as well. So over to you, Jeeva.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much for a nice introduction. Good evening, guys. Thanks for joining today, and I really appreciate Victor and Raz and the 365 Saturday team and other community leads to come up with such a good idea to conduct this Empower 2020, which is going to help lots of people in this crisis situation. And I feel proud to be part of that, and that I have done some little bit of contribution to that. So as Amy said, myself, Jeevarajan Kumar, you can call me Jeeva, and I am a Microsoft community lead in Singapore and also in APAC, predominantly focused in Singapore, Malaysia, and Philippines, and Indonesia, Thailand. And I'm a Microsoft Business Application MVP, and I'm also a MCT. So this is my Twitter handle. If you can get connected, please feel free to send a request. I can get connected, and if you want to get connected in LinkedIn, please feel free to send a request. I'll definitely approve that. And yep, without further ado, let's jump in to the session. Yeah, this is a session objective. So today we're gonna see what is customer insight, what it's all about, and how it's gonna be helpful to your business to solve your business problem, and how to set up the customer insight. So we'll be setting up a customer insight using some sample data. And once you have the basic setups done, and you can also to consume that customer insight data, the unified profile data, which we will seeing soon, into your multiple business systems, like your Dynamics model-driven app, a Power App, and also Power Platform like Power BI, and you can use it in a Flow as well. So in the demo, we'll see what it is and how it is helpful, and also we'll see some detailed architecture. If I go to agenda, yeah, you can see we'll see some detailed architecture of that and how the data ingestion and unification is done, and how we will measure the KPIs, that is the measures. So how you can measure a specific KPI for a customer from a customer standpoint, also from a business standpoint. And also you can configure the customer segments, which is like a demographic representation of the measures. And also, as I said, we will see how I'll just show you a couple of screenshots which shows how the customer insight data has been leveraged in the Power Platform. But eventually we will not see that in the demo. It's very, it will be too advanced if I do that. It's already a kind of advanced topic, but I will try to make it simple as possible so that, even for beginners, it will be able to, for them, it will be able to understand. Yeah, so going into the introduction, so this is it is a definition given by customer insight, given for customer insight by Alyssa Taylor, who is a corporate vice president for Microsoft Business Application and Industry. So it's customer insight is nothing but it helps you to intelligently transform fragmented customer data into actionable insights, empowering true personalized engagement. So it's all about giving a personalized customer experience. If you put in a single word, I would say it helps you to collect data from multiple data sources, which will be in different types, and bring and come to a unified profile. And from there, you will be able to derive a point or derive information that helps you to serve your customers, and based on what their interest is. As simple as that. So yeah, if you take about the common challenges that we have in when we think about enterprise business, where, for example, if you take Walmart or something like that, what they have a retail business, and let's imagine let's assume that they have e-commerce business, and they have multiple outlets, and they also, let's say, they have gas stations, or they have a telecom providers, right? So where your informations are scattered in multiple places, in multiple types of data. So in that case, eventually we will have multiple versions of the same customer information. So then there comes the problem where we will not know which is the right customer information or the apt customer information, the best one that you can take it up, right? There will be duplications of data. And then which eventually will lead to a poor customer experience. And of course, the data governance is going to be a big challenge for the IT team. So how to keep up the data, how to keep up to date the data, whatever we get, and how to maintain the consistency of the data. And eventually, the customer journey is going to be challenging. Like, how do you know what your customer is looking for? Because your data has been scattered, and the customer who basically does lots of, let's say, in-store purchase might not have done online purchase, but let's say tomorrow when he starts doing online purchase, so how do you recognize the customer and give the respective promotions or offers to that, right? So which is like kind of challenging if you take that scenario. So you do not know what your customer is also looking for next, and now how do you offer tailored services, as I said, and then engaging the customers. So obviously you have to put the right information about your customers to the right staff. When you take the other way around, where your customer is used to do lots of web purchases and mobile app purchases, and then he goes to an in-store, and when he let's say he goes to an in-store of the e-commerce, or he goes to your food chain of the same company, for example, right? And you do not know that customer is a privileged customer in your e-commerce portal. So if you know that, probably you will handle him in a different way, like, oh sir, you're a privileged customer, so you would like to try our special lounge instead of a normal common room, or something like that. So with customer insights, how do we eliminate those issues? So the key thing is we come to a unified customer data, I would say unified customer profile, that will be created based from the multiple data sources. So you will eventually see how we are going to ingest the data from multiple data sources, and how we're going to massage the data and arrive to a common unified profile. So, and top of that, there are lots of, there are AI capabilities that the customer insights provides, which will enrich your data and provide the statistics that you needed, and gives recommendations, like based on your customers purchase history or noise activities. And it will eventually lead to power your business processes, like the data from customer insights or available to operation systems, like Dynamics and analytics like Power BI and many more. So how it works, as I said earlier, so let's imagine that your data are available or segregated in multiple data sources, within internal and within external parties. And, like, for example, there could be data that might not even relate to a customer, like, weather, or like, for example, in this situation, COVID, it's specific places hit bad by the COVID-19. In such place, you will offer a different service personalized to that customer, to that situation and that point of time. So eventually you'll mix match customer data and non-customer data also. Yeah, and then unification. So this is a process you will start with Dynamics customer insights. So where you're going to ingest data from these multiple data sources, and eventually you'll map and merge the data. Like, for example, when you have multiple data sources, you need to pick the common data. For example, the customer data can be there in the mostly it will be there in the your online portal, e-commerce portal, and it will also be available in your website, and it's also available in your POS. So in these cases, you have to come up with a single customer data instead of 4 customer data from 4 different sources. So eventually you will see how to map those, and how to get rid of the duplicates and the conflicts. And then eventually there are scenarios, there's a provision to enrich the data as well from the outsourced data sources. So this is kind of, get more recommendation for that customer based on the customer age and the place where he comes from. We'll see that in later, what is enrichment. So, and then the analytics, as I said earlier, you will define the KPIs and the measures and the segments to use the data that we have just unified here. And eventually, you can also export the segments and then you can give it to data scientists, which they can use their Azure ML platform to build the model, to enhance the model more, and then we can use the same model in the customer insights again, and we'll come up, which will enhance the overall customer data. And then, of course, the action that you can take care of, as I said, you can use in any of the dynamics. It's very straightforward. Of course, the first preference is for the dynamics, and then like the others, you can also use it to any public websites, mobile application, social media, even the bots, and in person can always open and view the data. And then the architecture, the technical architecture behind this is, this is where you will be, right now we will be doing the changes in the customer insight. Like we'll be doing ingestion, and we'll be building the KPIs and measures and segments, and doing the enrichments, and you'll be slowly building up a customer profile. And eventually we can use it to export it to the different systems like this, or like you can see the API layers, whatever the data that has been exposed in the API layer to actually the consumption layer. So in the customer insight app itself, which we're going to see now, and also you can get it in a contact card. So I'll show you later how it looks, right? And I can tell you high level how it can be done as well. And you can embed in a Power BI, Power Apps, and flows as such. Yeah. And then, so let us take a simple use case study, which is given by Microsoft itself. So let's take a situation. Let's take a business for Microsoft Contoso. Let's say Contoso Coffee, where they have they're trying to expand their coffee refilling machine, and let's say they have multiple systems, and they have multiple records for the same person in different units or different places, and where it caused them a disjointed experience of the customer who expects to be treated as one person regardless of the channel they of the places they come from. So being said that, so we let's say they have multiple systems, multiple platforms in multiple clouds, on-premise and mix and match, and also non-customer data. As I said earlier, it could be a weather, it could be a current situation or political situation, whatever it is. So now all these things have to be, so now with this design data, they are not able to achieve the advantage of or they're not able to come up with a solution where they can provide a customer. They're trying to basically enhance the business by providing a customer personalized customer experience, or to understand what exactly the customer will be looking for soon. So how they can serve the customer in a better way. Yeah. So how we can help Contoso management to to achieve what they are looking for using a customer insight is the step-by-step process would be like we can have a customer data hub, which is nothing but a customer insights that we're going to create the unified profile from their silo data sources, the multiple data sources, and then obviously we'll come up with the measures and segments, which is going to give them a scores, which is going to get displayed in the customer Dynamics 365 service for their employees to use it for their servicing the customer next time. And also the store managers, right? They can use in their, they will have a mobile app where we can just develop a Power BI dashboards, and which can be embedded in the tablet or phone or on the desktop for them to see, and then they can serve the customers as such. And then of course you can also have like a greeter application. For example, when they go to the retail store, like a restaurant or coffee shop of the same organization, they will the store manager or the staff can have a greeter app where, based on the customer wherever he checked in previously, so based on that, the analytics will be showing and the recommendations will be shown into that app, so that he can do the personalized service and recommendation for that customer. So yeah, having said that, so we will see how to do the data ingestion, data load from the data source, and then we'll see how the unification of the arriving to the point where we build the unified profile, and then from there we'll see what else we can do. So without further ado, let's just quickly jump into a demo. So what I have here is, so when you create a trial, so it's very straightforward. If you search in the Dynamics customer insights overview or demo or create trial, it's gonna give you URL. Once you go there, it's gonna ask you to enter your Microsoft Work ID. It can be any demo ID which you're using for your Dynamics 365 or on a Power Platform, or it can be any other your work ID as well. You can see that I'm just using one of my existing Dynamics trial instance UD ID. So once you log in, so eventually it's going to take you to environment, a demo environment like this. So this is what you're going to see the moment you log in. So this is a demo environment that comes preloaded with the customer insight. So as you can see, these are the information that we can reap out of the customer data. So you can see that there is an average churn score, what is the probability of the customers churning from your business, and then average online spend per customer. So these are all measures that we are going to create as well. And you can see what are the potential interest of your customers. Like this information, this potential interest is called enrichment, which you'll see later. And this information comes from Microsoft Graph API. So there are lots of data that the Graph API provides us based on the industry or based on your interests, which we can leverage here as well. So based on our customer age, location, this data will be customized and personalized. And eventually we can use this to make and suggestions and recommendations to our customers. And these are the segments, as I said. Based on the measures, you can also create a segments. So you can see what is the average spend of high churn members, and then customers with open cases currently, and all the customers, 10,000 records they have now in the sample, and the customers that have a low review score. So almost 8,000, 6,000 customers have given low review score. So if you open a customer, you're going to see the customer data in the card, and you can always go and search customer. So we'll see how to set up the search. You can set up multiple search index and filters. So for example, let's say if I want to see someone from Washington, so it's going to show me people, the customers from Washington. And it's really fast. It can returns results in just fraction of seconds. And if you open one of the customer, you're going to see the data that comes from multiple data sources. You can see the data comes from the his profile and the loyalty system and from POS machine, and you can see the activities, combining all the data sources, and whatever activities he has done in each of these data sources has been shown in a nice timeline view. And then you can see what this customer might be interested, potential interest, and the brands that he might be interested in. So this is what we're going to build now. So let's go back to our environment, which we're going to use to build this from the scratch. All right. So the first step to start with, the first step to start with is to load the data. So what we're going to do now is, so I'm just using the Microsoft trial data that is available in Microsoft blob storage now. So when you can add a data from multiple data sources. So the first step is you can either choose from importing data from multiple data sources, or you can connect to the common data data model in the tenant, and you can just get the data from that. So I'll just choose import data, and what I'll do is I'll import a data from the sample URL that I have. Let me just take the URL. Okay, so as we already tried, I'll just use the e-commerce. So let's assume that we have data from our e-commerce website. And then I will post all these URLs in the chat. Just just in case. So I posted all the data sources in the chat now. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly add, you can see the data sources, variety of data sources that we have now. It could be ranging from Excel to CDS and to SharePoint list, Salesforce, blob storage, Azure blob storage, and other web APIs, like SQL. Yeah. So for now, we just load it from the CSV. So I'll just give the path. I'm just going to load the e-commerce contacts. I'll just enter all the URLs in the chat window. So whoever wants to use, you can use it. And I'll just, like next. So this data are already stored in the Azure blob storage and is open for anyone. So once you add it, what's going to do is, it's going to take you to the Power Query window. If people who already used Power BI, I know should be aware of this. It's very straightforward queries. And what we're going to do is, we're going to transform. As you see, this is a CSV, so you can see the first row of the CSV is or actually header. So what we'll do is we'll just notify the system that use my first row as headers. So it's going to assign all of them to header, and also we'll assign the right data type for the columns. So for example, let us take date of birth, and if you click on here, it's gonna, you can just choose the date and date time, like whichever suits you. I just choose date time for now. Okay, you're gonna have time, and then created on, I'll just choose, and the time zone, it's gonna, if you see the data, it's gonna have the date and the time as well. So you can always also rename this. So instead of naming it a query, I'll just put to context of your e-commerce. You see, you can also undo the changes that you're doing here. So all these steps, whatever you're doing, will be captured right here. So what happened? Okay, it's validating the query. As you can see, it's creating now. So what happens is once you start adding the data like this, it's going to look like this, right? Let me just open another environment where I already added all this data there. So if you see the data sources, so it's going to have, like I just added 4 data sources from my e-commerce, from my loyalty scheme, and the customer data from my POS machine, and the customer data from the website. Okay. So currently we have just added the e-commerce. As you can see, it's refreshing. When it refreshes, meanwhile, I'll add one more data from my loyalty customer. I'll just enter loyalty scheme. Maybe and just directly. And again, I'll choose the CSV. I'll copy the URL for this. CSV. So same thing here. So it's, since it's a CSV, we got to define the first row as the header. I'll just transform and use the first row as a header. And then I'll just do some adjustment here as well. The date time for the date of birth. And created on, we'll just set time zone. And then maybe for the reward points, we just make it a whole number. Yeah, perfect. I'll just rename this as a loyalty customers. Previous one was e-commerce customer. Now we have a loyalty customers. So we have 2 customer data. Yeah, you see, this is available now. This will be available soon. So the thing is, each time when you make changes, it's going to take a while to refresh because it's building its own, data sets inside that. What happened? Yeah, it's refreshing. So meanwhile, now I'll just give you a walkthrough and what all these things so that now we'll see when we build it in one by one. So once you have that added here, you can see, this data source, I added 2 entities eventually. So how I did is, once you have the entities here, this is another environment just in case you see. So whatever I open here in my demo, this is a previous environment, and the current one that I'm showing you guys is in the demo. Okay, just a minor difference. So in the my demo, you can see that the previously built one, I have all these entities right here, and you can see I use the same data source, but I added 2 entities here. And based on the measures and segments you create, the system itself is going to create its own entity to keep track of that. So we will see eventually what is how it happens. So this is where the map and match and merge, the next step that we're going to see, like creating this unified profile that is required. And this is the enrichment. If you remember, like I was just talking about the getting the data from Microsoft Graph API from the outside data sources to relate it to the current customer, and based on the current customer interest, how you will show that data. So for example, let's say this customer is interested in coffee and donuts, and what brand I mean, not this customer, like specifically like what you wanted to choose for your customers, like whether you want to get the data from all these famous brands and what data you want to get it from, or you can also choose it from the industry. Like if you want to choose like dining and nightlife, or you can just name whatever you wanted to. So eventually it will bring you all the data from all those industry. It is going to be huge data, but here you just customize your data. So once you have it and save it and run, and this is what you're gonna see, that based on our interest, and eventually that is what gonna show up in your customer based on his age and location, like city and state. It will show up here. We haven't configured it, but as I showed you in the demo that comes with the environment, you can show it here. Okay, let's see what is happening in our current trial environment that we are trying. Oh, we can see that both the data are available now. Let's go and build that unified profile, which is the key in the customer insight. So an interesting part is if you go and try to view your customer, it's going to show you the clear cut steps that you need to do, to minimum steps that you need to do to see the customer data in the customer insights. So the first step is loading the data sources, which we have done. And the second step is mapping and match and merge. So these three comes under the unify. See, map, match, and merge. So to do the mapping, so what I'm going to do is, I'm just picking the customer data from both the data sources, and I'm going to map the common data. So I need to define the primary key right here. So obviously I just choose. You see the beautiful part of this is the platform is able to identify based on the metadata that is got from the source data, it matched it to the respective type that the customer insights understands. So the AI engine that runs behind this customer insight, it's able to smartly detect the right data type. But if you feel like there is this is not the right one, you can always go and change whichever suits that specific column, right? But I'm just going to go with the whatever the system provides, because all of them are perfect in this case. So I will just choose the primary key for this table. So what you're actually trying to do here is, again, like you've got the data from multiple data sources. So you're gonna remove the duplicates, or you're gonna do that. What do you say? Like you're gonna define the precedence. You're going to remove the duplicate, one thing, and you're going to define the precedence. For example, there could be a full name in both the systems, but which one you want to take precedence against which one. Like for example, if both of them has the full name, and let's say in this case the full name is like Kumar Jeevarajan, but in this case I have given like Jeevarajan Kumar. The first name last name is changed. Which one you want to take as a precedent? And you will eventually see where we are defining the precedence level and all this mapping and merging. And eventually we'll have only one customer profile, and where we'll have Jeevarajan Kumar as such. But let's say if there is one of them doesn't have the full name, and it will take the other one eventually, even though you have defined the level. We'll see that soon. So, and then this loyalty customers, again, I'll just define the customer ID as the primary key. And then save this. Good. Well, and good. If you want to add more entities, you can add more entity here. And I'll go and choose the match. So first thing is the order, as I said just now, which is going to take your precedent level. Like, let me choose the e-commerce is the data. Let's say I more rely than the loyalty system, based on my business. So you can see here, like they've given how it works. Like you can just choose the first two system, and you can merge the third system with the result set of the first two system, and then you can keep doing that, and eventually you'll arrive at a point of a unique customer data, which you can use it for other things. So either you can include all records or you can skip it. So if I include all records, it's going to compare each and every record against these two. Once you define the matching order, second thing you will need to do is create the matching rule. So the matching rule is, so what against what data you want to match these two customer data in these two data sources. So let's say, for example, let me just create a full name and oops. Did I lost you?
You did for a little moment, but it's okay. We can carry on from exactly where you were. You're still where we were left off.
So damn strange that it restarted, but it was so quick, and it's exactly where it was. Okay,
that's the fastest restart I've ever seen. Yeah, that's incredible.
Literally it restarted.
we should celebrate that. That's amazing.
I don't know. It's so weird. Anyways, all right.
Go ahead. So, we enjoyed the 2-minute break.
Yeah, so what I do is, I'll first case, I'll just define a condition where I'm gonna have the full name to be matched in these two, right? So I choose a customer full name from the e-commerce contact and the full name from the loyalty customers. And this is something called normalized, right? Where you can normalize the data. Let's say if you choose emails or something, you want to remove the old white spaces, and if you want to convert everything to the lowercase, you can do that. In this case, I'll just choose name and phone number, because that is, oh my. This damn getting crazy. Like, I don't know why the hell its system keeps restarting. Okay, I think I'll just go and stop my Camtasia. I don't know whether that is causing an issue or not, because I never had this issue. Yeah. Hope you're recording, right? So
I still got it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We can shop.
I have no idea why the hell this happens. That
really strange.
Yeah, it's weird. Anyways, okay, just go off here. Okay, so we have just chosen the normalize that is defined for the name and phone numbers, which is suitable for name and phone numbers. And then you got the basic, the precision level. So the precision level is something, that helps you to give at what precision you want to match the data. For example, if you take the finance services, like banks or something like that, and if you want to match the customer IDs as such, so it involves higher level of precision. But for since we are just doing with the names, which is let's say we are going to use it for some marketing or something else, we can just choose low, something like that. So for in our case, we'll just try to put it here, maybe at medium or high. Okay, and then let me add one more condition and just map with the email as well. All right, and then in the normalization, I'll just skip it. Okay, I can't skip it. Oh my, let's use this voice fish. Oh, I couldn't set the name. That's the reason. Okay. Name and mail. All right, so we created the rule and we have to run the rule. It's going to take a while again. So meanwhile, I just show you how it looks. So once you have the unify, so once you have the match, so eventually it's going to give you a result something like this. So it's going to say how many unique customers you have and how much the match records that you have between those systems. So you can see that I just created the same thing a while back, and the records matched at 98.8% customers have been matched. So if you open it, you can see that so the e-commerce contact that Dorothy is having that came from e-commerce website, and from the Dorothy Savic that came from your loyalty systems, both matches, and even the emails matches. So it's 100% match for sure. And if we take 86% match, we can see that this Paul Berkey is POUL in the e-commerce contact, but in the loyalty scheme, it has been mentioned as POUL. It could be a typo, whatever it is, but you can see the system is still able to match it. But yeah, but this 86% match because of this one. If you're given an exact match, I don't think this would be considered as a match in the match, the ratio, the precision that we just saw. All right, something like that. So after that, the third stage is going to be merge. Definitely, we cannot use our trial now because it's going to take a while. Let's not wait for that. It's already running out of time. So once we have that done, once you go to the merge, you can see system smartly merged the first name from these two, and then it defined here and the last name. And let's say, for example, I think that the telephone from the loyalty customer should take precedence than the telephone from the e-commerce. I can always go do that in the edit, and I can just push it in such a way that it does that. And like anything, if the system doesn't do auto merge, you can also go and do manual merge. Okay, you can just select combine and you can choose the fields from here and you can do a manual merge. And once you do this merging, you save and run. So which eventually will bring you to the third stage of your customer. Like, for example, if I go here and if I go to the customer, so now match is happening, right? But once you match and merge is done, all this will be done, and this search and filter will be the last one pending. So the search and filter is nothing but once you have the data, so eventually once you have the data, you need to define the searching condition and the filtering condition for someone to go and fetch the data. So like this is where it's very straightforward, where you're going to select the columns that you wanted to look for when somebody search it. That's all. So if you want to add more, you can also add more. And if you want to add filter to a specific condition, you can do that as well. Once you define that, all the 5, you're going to see a nice and beautiful contact card like that, like this. Okay. So this is all about building up your unified profile, and successfully we have built the unified profile. And if you want to expand the card, you can see some more data in here. So let me open the PowerPoint. Okay. Oh, this one got restarted. Yeah. So where we, oops, sorry. Yeah. So we just saw the unification, and the thing is measures. Now we have the data. Now what's the next thing? So now we will define the KPIs for the customer, or it can be business as well. Like for example, like what's the customer lifetime value of a specific customer, and what's the average purchase value of a specific customer, right? So all this can be very customer specific KPIs that you can define, which you can see in the customer card in the homepage that I just showed you earlier. And now if we can also define a business level measures as well. Like for example, like what is the overall average purchase of a specific store, or what is the average purchase of a specific web purchase, something like that. And once you have the KPIs, we'll see how we can group the KPIs into segments which can be used later. So if I go and open our demo, let me see what is the status. So match is still happening. Okay, the match is done. So this is the merge. As you see, the match is done, and the number of records matched here, 92.9% match, not bad. And then we'll just go and do the merge. I'm just gonna save and accept whatever it is. So it's going to again take a while to merge the records. Eventually you can see in the customers, now it's merged, right? Okay, so we were just talking about the measures. Let's just go back to the environment that I already built and see the measures. So the measures here, you can see that these are already created one that I just created two. So you can see I've just created a 2 business measure and the rest for customer attribute measure. So let's open one of the business measure. If I want to see the average store purchase, you can see it's $112. That's very less. And and average web purchase is going to be $139 something. So how do I derive this one? So if I go and choose the edit, you can see that I just chose the entities that we have, and this comes from the POS data source, and you can see that I chose average, and then like the variable, the entity variable that is POS, and the field name that comes from the data source is total price, and you can just give whatever name you wanted to give, and you just gonna see. Like for example, if I want to create new, you can see it's a business measure, and I'll just say test business measure. Field name will be same, and you can see that these things comes from there. For example, if I want to see web reviews, I don't know whether web reviews is the right. Let me see e-commerce purchases, and I'm gonna say maybe average, total price, and like whatever, like average. And on the moment you save, and if I open this, what we created, it's updating. It's take a while, but eventually you'll see the average purchase that comes from the e-commerce now. Similarly for the customer specific purchase, okay, so this is happening, I'm not able to click it. So this is where you define KPIs. You see, like if I want to see what the specific customers or customer is purchased and his club points, his lifetime spends, I'll be able to create that here. And where do I see that? Where do I make use of the data? You see in the customer contact, the card is going to show up nice and here. You see the club. So the moment someone opens the customer connect, they'll be able to get all this beautiful information here. All right. And again, sorry, I'm just jumping into our tail environment and see what is happening, whether our merge is done or not. Perfect. Our merge is done. So if you go to the customers, you can see the merge is done. The last thing is the search and filter. So this is what I was talking about. To create a filter, just select the primary key of both the data sources. Just select full name, maybe first name, and maybe city, state, country. Yep. And I'll just save. And once this is run, completed, you're going to see the unified profile that we just built now in the demo. And then, okay, this is taking a time. Once you have these measures, right, as I said, you'll see in the customers. Now, next thing is the segments. So segments is something that is defines, like the like a demographic data, like what exactly the measures. When you choose segment, you can create from measures or profiles anyways. So when you choose the previously created measure. With that measure, you can create your own segmentations of that specific data. Okay, and that segmentation later can be used for other purposes, exported, and can be used in the dynamics, marketing, or sales as well. So that can be expanded, but we can't show it now. It's going to take lots of time anyways. So anyways, the point is, based on your customers behavior pattern and based on your transactional or based on any location, you can build something like this. For example, I have built like high valued customers online, right? So which is going to say based on transactional data, so you can see what are the customers and the high valued customers based on what they have purchased. So if I go here, you can see the details as such. Okay, and since it's very less data, we don't have much, but when you have latest data, it will show in beautiful graph, and which you can eventually export and use it in your other systems like marketing and sales systems. So if I want to quickly, let me see what happens with measures. Hopefully it should be done now. So you see this is a measure I created, right? You can see now the e-commerce business that is per average is $139. So if I want to go and segment, I just go here and create from measures, and I'll be able to create a new measure. Let's say I want to create measure to create a sum, for example. So what I'll just do is, and you see all these measures that whatever we created earlier stage will just show up here. With this, you can just go and build, you see, like club points greater than, let's say, there are a lot of people with the club points 0 to 600. Let's say I just say like 450, and then you can see only 0.2% of that. Okay, that's not good. So there are 500 customers, of course, more than fun. So let me just see, you'll have almost like 6.6%. So you can just go and create, and eventually you'll have one measure. So that measure is what again will be displayed in the customer's card, right? So you can also, if you go to the admin and if you see export destinations, you will gonna get a measures to add a destination. You can have this like blob storage or sales, and eventually you'll have where you can export this data, and this data will be exported automatically. So this is all about like having the segments and the measures and enrichments, as I showed earlier. Once you define the interest and brands, which will eventually bring the data from outside, and just show here. And if you have seen my the platform demo environment that the demo environment that platform offers, you would have seen the timeline based activities, right? That also you can create by going to the activities, and you can just go and create a new activity. But you can also have, I already created a new activities based on the, so activities works on the timeline fields. So I already added the 3 timeline fields here, so that's why we are not able to add more. And also you can have relationships where you can have multiple data sources. You don't need to merge all the data. You don't need to merge do the unification for all the data, right? Only whichever data that you think the duplication should be avoided, the conflict should be avoided, you'll use that for duplication. But you might have to build a relationship between multiple data. Okay, so in that case, you can always go and build a relationship. So let's say, for example, we have customer data in the loyal in the e-commerce, and let's say we have lots of purchases data. So we can define a 1:n relationship between the customer and the number of purchases he made. So basically, you just use some sample name and you choose the primary entity. Okay, and then you see the beautiful part of this is what I want to show actually when I talk about the relationship. So you can see the relationships can be not just built for the imported data source alone. It can be used for the already the unified profile we just created. We can also create a relationship for that as well. You see over here. So if I want to choose my e-commerce and then entity, I can either choose the 2 sources or I can choose the unified profile. So the unified profile is already there. So you can choose one to many or many to one, something like that. Okay. And then you choose the field on which you want to build the relationship. So once you have built the relationships, you can always go and create the activities. So even with this one, Yeah, so we do not have any field with the time and date phase. That's why you're not able to see that. But once you have that, you will see. Let me just quickly show what I have done. The e-commerce purchases I have built. I just created activity for that. So you can choose on which the key, you choose the key, and then you'll choose the timeline field for that and how you want to display. I'll just choose activity time display, and then the details what you want to show in that timeline frame basically, and eventually it will just pick the right relationship, and that is what you are seeing in the predefined demo environment that comes within the platform. So once you define the activities, and you're going to see this over there, purchases, website reviews, online purchases, right? And with that, let's just go back to our slides. Enrichment, the graph API, which we saw, and purchase and measures. And that's all. So like now that's what we have in the demo. So any questions so far?
No, so far I think it's been really cool. It's really great to see how like it's made data more accessible to people that aren't just data scientists, which is really,
Yeah.
really cool. I just want to know, like, obviously now we've got all this data together, like, how do we like use it? Because I know it's all there in customer insights with its pretty graphs, but
Yeah.
like, is there any ways you can use it better? Like, do things with it and yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question actually. So no, the customer insight platform is so eventually if you talk about the people that you're going to use, right? So data analysts and scientists, they can just use the data like whatever we get here and get the information out of that, and then they can export and use it in other platforms like ML, as such. As a you can see that the data can be exported in the CSV here from the segments, and they can use it, you can see like download the CSV and they can use it for the data and do some modeling, whatever they want to do. At the same time, we can also show the actual data in our now business applications like Dynamics as well. So I have a slides for that, in fact. So next, yeah. So you see that I have just so once you have the customer insight configured in the Dynamics, it's going to show you can do something like this. Typically, if you see the timeline that I just show inside the customer insight profile, the customer card, we can just bring the same here. So when actually the salesperson or a service person who is in back office, who is working on it, they can understand what the customer is interested in, and they can do the upsell or cross sell or do the better servicing. So this is one way, and how we arrive here is there is a customer card inside customer card add-in that you can download from the app source, and once you download it and configure it in your environment, you're gonna see something like this. Once in the solution, if that will be added to your solution, if you open the solution, it's gonna ask you to enter your organization details that you just used for the customer insight. So once you do that, it's going to connect your customer insight to the Dynamics, and eventually inside the Dynamics model driven app, or like you can open the app and you can you can just configure that here, like how you configure your custom controls. Yeah. So this is using it in the Dynamics, and also this is I just entered a sample for example. I said, like when talking in the beginning, let's say we want to use the data for the store, the let's say the chain, the food chain staff, whoever it is, they can have a tablet app or phone app, and then we can give them in the Power Apps where they will see the information about like the customer unified profile, like what they have done and what they have checked in, what they have purchased, what the loyalty points, so that what they can like you can see like the nice dashboard here on that customer, the current points and the lifetime value, and what they can this customer usually purchases cold brew tea. So let's say you have launched a new product, which is like which will be people who usually drinks cold brew likes that, so that you can recommend that to that person. So kind of delivering the personalized recommendation. So how this is achieved? So when you create a Power App, so that is just connected to the customer insight. I think it's still in the beta, which where you will have access to all the unified profile data which we just created. The beautiful unified profile data which we have now right here. from multiple data sources, we can just build the app on this top of this data. So that's what it's coming from the activities and all these recommendations. And but yeah, to do this, there are certain for example, this check-in, this comes from a separate, there is a separate plugin or add-in called check-in, and that is what used here. And again, it can be used in Power BI as well to build the dashboard and reports, which will be helpful for the supervisors or managers or who it is, and they can offer the right service for the customer. So you can see here that you in the data source of the Power BI, once you go to the Power BI and you add data source, and you can pick the customer insights, and then it's going to show you all those entities that we just built now, which we see in the in our environment here. So you can see that the entities that we added and the segments, again, it's an entity. The measures, it will be stored as entity. Enrichment, it will be stored as entity because it can be used here. And all those entities, whatever we just created, auto-created, can be used in the reports. And you can see here that average online purchases, showing here, and the purchases, how varied based on the different month, and then the store purchases, and then whatever the activities that they are doing, like how we can see the POS purchase has dropped drastically here and it increased, and similarly the e-commerce as well, and the how much they've done in store and how much they've done online, something like that. And yeah, that's how you use it in multiple environment, but of course you can extend it and use it in other than the Dynamics and Power Platform as well. Okay,
That's awesome. Thank you.
welcome. And then the licensing, it's 1,500 USD per tenant per month. It's scaled across the tenant. It's not specific to any users. So on the whoever user in your tenant, they can just use it. And then the final part is references. So obviously the first thing you'll need to check out is the docs. And for the data ingestion and unification, there is a nice video put to one of our community leads named Manon Manish. Her blog name is Dynamic Mano. So you can check that out, where she has really shown a step-by-step process of data ingestion and unification, building a unit till the point where we build the unified profile. Yeah. And then, yep, please fill out the survey and just give your honest feedback. It will help us to deliver a better session or a program next time. Thank you all. Thank you, Hemi, and thanks everyone for joining today.
That's great. Thanks so much, Jeeva. We'll make sure we share those links and everything else along with the recording. And thank you so much for sharing the tool with us. It's been really interesting, and you gave a really great insight into it. Managing multiple demos all at the same time is never easy, and it was a really, really great job. So thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, Hemi. See you all.
I'll just stop the recording.